It kicks off in that 16-17 year, not what the local board initially requested, 15-16, but we're saying 16-17, where it was and where it rightfully should be, but unfortunately it was kicked out for another 5 years. So I'm saying honour the governing body's resolution that this work happen, officer support, officer led, happen in 16-17, and let's not kick it out to 2020-21, given that this has been a perennial issue since amalgamation.
Happy to second.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay, would you be happy to second my recommendation? I'm sure everyone around the table supporting those earlier recommendations to cut significant chunks out of the budget after we've been through this process, I would have thought would have been very happy for me to do this opening recommendation. And look, councillors, I want to speak to thank you, Councillor Cam. I support what you're trying to achieve there, even though I've encouraged everyone not to continue to go for this, but I'd only do it on the basis that Ōrākei fronts with the operational cost. Otherwise, we may as well have every other local board's wish list up front and present. Yep. Now, I want to see them put the colour of their money up front. That's why we went through the LDI debate. It's to basically put some funding back to the boards, and particularly on the capital side. And there was some operational funding there. We're going to give them some more capital through this $10 million. And we worked and actually those agreements were made before we finalised the funding for local boards, which Ōrākei did okay out of, if I recall. Very well. In fact, I think they were the highest beneficiary of the change.
Oh, don't think that's right.
Well, maybe second or third. You're right, I'm glossing.
I didn't think these were wanted
so anyhow,
spend any more money.
So look, Councillor Arthur will second it. Councillor Linda, we are not asking for anything more in terms of the capital budget and the LTP. It's a slight move, it's very, very minimal, and in the end doesn't impact on the bottom line. But what I am saying is this presents an opportunity to actually show the way to go forward.
Yep.
And I think it's an entirely pragmatic, but also probably sends very good messages to the board. We can work together on the capital side and on the operational side. And Ōrākei have made it very clear this is their number one. And yes, I have been supportive of it, but I've been struggling to support it around the operational side. Well, this provides the perfect answer, and I'm sure Ōrākei in their heart of hearts will totally support this. If they can't get the operational money out of us because we won't want to go any further beyond where we are at the moment, then as a local solution, I would have thought this is perfect. Councillor Cam, shall we give it a go?
Well, Mr.
So
Mayor,
what I'll do is,
if we can put mine first, I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying. But if we can put my amendment forward as the first one, driven by the governing body, and then the second one with that huge 1.5 million driven by the local board. So that's the difference.
Well, the difference is this, councillor, and it's because I'm in the chair. I want to make sure that that this local board, because I'm not going to support the capital if the local board resolution isn't passed.
That's right.
So I want to put the local board resolution first to make sure that there's support around this chamber for that. Yep. And then on the basis of that passes, I'll be superbly supportive of the capital program. You've got to get the operational up first. Yep. So I want to move the operational first, and then I'll move the capital. Because if we support the operational, then I'll strongly support the capital. Everyone got it?
Yep.
Yep.
Right. I'll put the operational budget first. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? All those in favour of the capital budget say aye.
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 Against? Well done.
So that's coming out of...
Okay. Seawall.
One.
Orewa seawall.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
I'm just getting a sense, I had an amendment up on street planting, but
I know
that's part of the core budget.
No, I know. I haven't got there yet.
It feels like we're going into totally new spend territory
No,
before we address the existing budget.
No, just haven't finished. This is the third time. Just trust me. We will get there. It's all right. Hey. Ocean seawall. Orewa. What do we got, Johnny?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really just looking for a way forward on this one and acknowledge the Hibiscus and Bays Local Board Chair, Julia Parfitt, who's been here for the better part of 2 days. She's been here longer than some of our councillors. So I just really, Mr. Mayor, just a couple of very quick points that relate to this. And first of all, this has been the #1 project for the local board, for the local board and the community. And I just, if I could, just draw a distinction between some of the comments that were made about this being like a region-wide problem, and you know, Ori was somehow just caught up in this big sort of erosion problem that's hitting all of Auckland. Ori was a town centre right on that beach. Its livelihood is tied into that beach, so it's more than, you know, just a beach out in the back blocks that people go for a couple of months in summer, and I think we need to recognise that. It's now a destination for a lot of Aucklanders from all over the region. Everyone will remember Orewa back to the 60s, 70s and 80s when it was a centre for everyone going for their holidays. And it's changed since then, and it's changed and it has undergone a bit of a renaissance. We've got the large council-owned holiday park there that's packed out. There's a real buzz around there, around the beach. I'm talking about the beach here too, of which the town centre benefits from. Every weekend, every public holiday, all the summer, there's people pouring there from all over the place. In fact, locals aren't so inclined to go there because it's full of other Aucklanders that are up there. Now what's happening is that this project, the beach has been getting eroded. We know all that, and the key part of the beach that's getting eroded is where everyone's going to. And this project hasn't come out of the blue. There's been a huge amount of officer time and finance invested in this over the years, and I'm sure Councillor Webster will attest to that from her experience with the Rodney District Council. The local board were talking about putting some skin in the game or coming up with some money. Well, they're putting in $250,000. A potential budget through the Emergency Management Fund from the Legacy Councils, which I understand North Shore and Rodney, which might have contributed to that, seems to have disappeared into the ether. I'm not sure about that one, but that was money that there was always a kind of understanding that a portion of that would be tagged into this project. There is, and this is another important point to realise, is the ongoing cost to council here, and each and every year on an increasing basis now, just to restore the beach. So it's not as if it's a saving, because there's an ongoing cost, and a substantial ongoing cost just to try and retain the beach. So the do-nothing approach, which is where we're essentially at now, isn't really an option if we're looking at the long-term budget either, because that's just going to keep sucking away funds that could be going into actually dealing to the problem, or at least starting to deal to the problem at that particularly sensitive part of the beach where everyone goes to. So what we've got up in front of us here, councillors, is a vastly scaled back program that's been proposed. I'm in your hands, Mr. Mayor, as to how we possibly could approach this, at least looking at that central section so we could get started. All the planning and everything's been done. It's due to go out to consultation, as I understand it, from the local board chair. The proposal as far as the money is a little bit down the years. I don't think there's anything in the next year that picks it up in the subsequent years. So there's not an immediate impact on that first rating year. But I guess, Mr. Mayor, I mean, I could go on ad nauseum here, but what I'm really signalling, and certainly the local board and community, is that all the work's been done. They're ready to go. There's an immediate problem. The town's livelihood is tied up with this beach. It is a distinct case from elsewhere in Auckland, and they need something done. And hence the resolution before you. And I'm sure that Julia will be available to ask any questions as far as what more the local board can do. I'm sure they'll do everything and anything they can to get this started.
Councillor Wayne, I just want to...
I seconded it.
Yeah, I know you do. Councillor Wayne, I just want to just get Ian to talk a little bit about this. So,
All right.
councillors, you'll have a look at the recommendation. It's year 2 and beyond. So it's not the year that's coming directly at us. Just
So-
for Councillor Christie.
So through your worship, I'll probably make 2 points. The first is that coastal erosion is a growing issue across our city, and we've heard that, and Orewa
We
has had
need you to report that as a regional matter
Yes.
to George's committee, or in the first instance probably into Wayne. But we need to get a regional grip on this.
And so work is underway on exactly that,
Yep.
and that report will be coming through, and it will also be indicating the scale of investment that's likely to be required. And I think if you look at the expenditure by this council over previous years compared to what's likely to be spent on coastal erosion issues in the future, it will become a size or a growing part of our budget. So I suppose that's the first point. Coastal erosion is growing. It's growing across the city. In terms of Orewa specifically, it's quite correct. We do spend funding each year to basically move sand from one end of the beach to the other. So there's ongoing costs, and that's been carried on for some years. We also have funding across the region to respond to events. So when a storm occurs, we have the capability of responding to that, and each of the local boards have contributed funding to a regional fund to be able to undertake that. So the funds here are seeking works to actually particularly deal with or mitigating measures starting at the northern end of the beach, and then in the latter years at the central part of the beach. So work is underway, design work has been prepared. I've got no doubt that it's required to be undertaken. But in terms of years 2 and 3, there is no provision in the budget for this type of work. So we're certainly underway. We're doing design work. We know it's required. Our expectation was that we'd come back to the annual plan process next year with more details and requests around years 2 and 3. But I think it's quite correct that the budget is not provided for in the years indicated. For years 6, that's a number of years out, and we envisaged that to take place as part of the overall regional approach.
So are you speaking in support of this?
Yes, I'm trying to be. Yes, I'm speaking in support of it. Well, I'm speaking straightforwardly as to what the situation is.
And look, I mean, are you really confident with your assessments as to what remedial costs are going to be?
I'm confident for the years 2 and 3 figures. Years 6 figures are too far out. There still needs to be more work done in that respect.
So should would it be better then to have a year 2 and a year 3 rather than a year 6?
My recommendation would be to consider year 2 and 3, and then when that report comes back, dealing with the regional wide area, we'll pick up
The
year
annual
6.
plan next year, which we will in fact start
Correct.
in 3 months' time.
Yes, that's right.
All right, so that would seem a logical thing to those who are the supporters of this recommendation. I think the thing that you are most looking for is to commence a process of remediation. Okay, now here's the kicker. Why should we back this more than any other beach erosion in the region? Now,
Do you want me to answer that?
yes, order.
Maybe I can answer
No,
that.
just hang on. I'm asking the expert.
Oh, in terms of beach erosion, Orewa has had long experience of beach erosion. We're spending quite a considerable amount of money
much?
each year, probably 80,000 a year. Is it?
Sometimes 200,000.
No, hang on.
It's going up by the second.
Well,
If we just keep listening here for another minute, it'll be up to 100 million.
It's big chunks.
My budget that I'm looking at was 80, but I will.
Can I just say,
Yep.
80 is what's been spent this year, because we've had unusual weather conditions, and we've had a north-south shift, we've had a south-north shift, which hasn't used all of the budget, but we do have a provision, I've been told, for 140, it's just not totally
needed.
spent this year.
Go the wind.
So this is a beach which has been the subject of a long history of erosion, and I think the points raised about its relationship to the shopping centre and the importance to the commercial viability of that centre is important. In other locations down the east coast, there are issues in the south in Howick. There are also issues in East Coast Bays around a number of smaller beaches and around some structures. But I think across the region, Orewa would be a top priority.
Okay, and just I guess one of the things, having become something of an expert in assessing tidal and natural impacts on Little Bucklands Beach back in the day, Ian. Do you, the money that you propose to spend, is this going to be effective in sort of mitigating and at the very least neutralising the impact on the beach?
That's exactly the intention. And so our coastal engineering team have looked at ways of doing that, and it's a mixture. In some areas it's hard protection, seawalls, that type of thing, but in others, in other parts of the city, it'll be managed retreat. And you can see with some of the debates, which I'm sure many of you have seen at Huia.
It's like harmonisation.
Well, it's an approach
Scarring of the beachfront.
Well, it's an approach which we are going to have to look at seriously over the next few years.